All right, Scott Engel back here on the Fantasy Sports Network. We are here live at Monmouth Park. Fantasy football weekend. Everybody having a lot of fun out here. A lot of great booths. And, I was very happy to find out the booth that was next to mine today. When I started setting up the RotoExperts.com booth, I looked directly to my left, and there's a Modell's booth, Modell Sporting Goods booth. So I feel right at home. You know the king. I'm not a phony, okay? I actually like back what I talk about. It's I go to Modell Sporting Goods basically. Look, people who listen to me know I'm a diehard Seahawks fan. What I wanted more than anything a few years ago when the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl was a Russell Wilson Super Bowl 48 jersey. Where did I go? Modell's in Times Square. They were totally decked out for Super Bowl week, and it's like. It's really cool that like the Times Square store, because no matter what team you're a fan of, you walk into that Times Square store, there are mannequins of several NFL teams. And in New York City, there are so many fans of teams from other areas. And you can go to the Modells in Times Square. There are jerseys, there are shirts, there's caps of just about every single NFL team. If you're not a defender and you want a Blake Bortles jersey, you go to Modell's in Times Square. So I've always been a big Modell's guy. I love going there. I love walking up to the counter and saying, okay, how many points I got left on my VIP card because I need to on my points card because I need to buy a Russell Wilson T-shirt. And to do that, a friend of mine who I met today, him and I are new friends, John Borrelli, the regional marketing supervisor for Modell Sporting Goods. John. Glad to have you here on the Fantasy Sports Network.
Hey, Scott, it's an absolute pleasure. Happy to be out here for Fantasy Sports Network and Family Day at Monmouth Park. We're all excited about fantasy football, about the kickoff and football season in general. When you talk that, fantasy football is like a game of stars, and when you got to get a star jersey, like you said, you got to go to the Mo's. So, good day.
And you know what's really cool is, like, I talk to, like, a lot of Major League Baseball players play fantasy football. And, a lot of people also like to do things like the baseball players do. They like to have the first round of the draft and hand a jersey out to each baseball player or each league participant. A lot of people who are not baseball players do this, a jersey of the first round pick. And last year I was talking to BJ Upton, and he drafted Peyton Manning in the first round. He had a Peyton Manning jersey in his locker. So if you're the kind of people who really like doing up your fantasy draft like it was a real NFL draft and people hand out the jerseys and the hats, you go to a lot of Modell's outlets and you can get pretty much, and especially if you go to the Times Square location, pretty much a jersey of everybody that's going to be drafted in the first round.
Absolutely. I mean, you can check out our Times Square store, which you referenced, or even Modells.com, which is basically one of our biggest locations. Is a store without aisles, and you can get all the players that you're looking for right there.
Now, for people who play fantasy football, and you do, John, the great thing about it is that fantasy football, so many people that I talk to about it, that, it makes you fall in love with players that you wouldn't necessarily have on your favorite team. It's like, I remember because of fantasy football, even though I'm a Seahawks fan, I loved LaShawn McCoy for a long time, Gio Bernard, and I'm like, I'm thinking of actually wearing a jersey that's not a Russell Wilson jersey, and I want to go out and purchase it.
Yeah, it's going to be, bringing up LaShawn McCoy, it's going to be interesting to see him and Rex Ryan's offense this year. Rex always did a nice job with the running game up in New York, but as you said, it does raise loyalty of fandom a little bit, but at the end of the day, team loyalty is always there, but it always gives you an outlet to root for different players like a LaShawn McCoy, like a Rob Gronkowski, or a Dez Bryant, even though you might not traditionally be a fan of any of those teams.
Talking to John Borrelli, the regional marketing supervisor for Modell Sporting Goods. John, you got your own draft coming up. What kind of league is it? Do you know where you're picking? What are you thinking?
I have my own draft coming up. I just executed one the other day, 7th pick of the draft. I know taking a quarterback isn't the popular choice, but Aaron Rodgers is a talent that you can't deny, and that speaks to that point about drafting a player that you're a fan of, but not necessarily a fan of their team. And you could always find Aaron Rodgers gear at any of our stores. Check out Modells.com, something like that. There's so many great players in the NFL when you look from a fantasy perspective, whether you're going to go running back for a guy like Eddie Lacy, if you're going to go wide receiver for a guy like Dez Bryant, or quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers or an Andrew Luck. So it's a tough decision and one that I look forward to doing in a few days or so.
Now, fantasy baseball, a lot of people playing fantasy baseball, and, we're here in New Jersey and New York, and you are talking, we're both Met fans. The Mets are in a pennant race. There's the first time in a few years, and, the fan base is very hungry, and I'm sure, you guys are seeing the results of that at Modell's.
Oh, of course. The passion around the Mets and Yankees in general has been tremendous. We're proud supporters of the Yankees as well as the Mets, and anytime a team like that in your local market does good, it's a ton of fun. And the excitement is back, especially with the Mets this year. It's been a tremendous story, so hopefully they can hold on and make it a fun postseason.
Yeah, I remember in the Subway Series in 2000, I used to go to College Point, Queens Modell's, and it was the Subway Series, and that College Point store is actually like right near Citi Field, which was then Shea Stadium, so you get a lot of Met fans. But the line was so long, and every other person was either a Mets or a Yankee fan, and people were arguing online about the World Series. At Modell's, you got to be hoping it's like another Subway Series this year.
Of course. I mean, anytime the local teams are good, it's exciting, it's great, and the Subway Series would bring baseball back to life in the city more so than it already has been.
Yeah, I remember actually my wife is a Yankee fan, and I'm a Met fan, so what happened was, you guys were selling the car flags at Modell's. On our car, we had the Yankee flag on one side and the Met flag on the other, and they were both whipping in the wind, and people were looking at our car like, who are they rooting for exactly? But they thought it was a cool car because we had both of the flags on it.
Yeah, that was a fun series. I mean, the Mets came out on the short side of that. The Yankees had a tremendous team. Those were the dynasty eras, and we'd love to see that again. Both teams have great ball clubs. We're stocked with Mets and Yankees gear in all of our stores if you want to go check it out at Modell's. We're also, another thing I want to talk to about, Scott, is we partnered with the Prostate Cancer Foundation, and we're doing a dollar drive campaign, raising some money for awareness and research. And so if you're coming in and getting Mets and Yankee stuff, it's a great opportunity to make a donation to a great cause as well.
Yeah, that's terrific. Come out and can they also donate online as well?
Online, no, but in all of our stores. We're set up and ready to go to raise some money for a great cause.
It's cool. I was talking about the jerseys too, but I actually go out and I get press credentials for the Mets and Major League Baseball. And I got to take a recorder out with me whenever, I'm going to interview the players. And I went to Modell's, and I'm like, well, that's perfect. There's a drawstring Russell Wilson backpack for $5. It's really cool because not only got the jerseys, you got these really cool other items. Like I see the drawstring bags with the player names and numbers of the teams on it, stuff like that. And you guys, the really cool thing about it is, no matter when your team wins, especially if you're a baseball fan, if you don't live in the city where your team plays, it's kind of hard to get the gear sometimes. So, when the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, it's like I went to Modell's to get, all my Super Bowl champs gear. But whoever's going to win the World Series, it's not easy to track that gear down because everybody's already thinking, okay, if I'm a Cardinals fan, living in New York, or I'm a Cardinals fan, living on the West Coast, how am I going to find my World Series champions gear?
Absolutely, and that's something that we specialize. We like to celebrate the fan and everybody. And you can check out Modells.com. We have a wide assortment on there. Hopefully this year you're not going to have to be out of market if you live in New York. Maybe it'll be the Mets or Yankees. Or even the Jets or Giants, who will both have good ball clubs. We'll look at that in February, though.
Do you find a lot of people come to your stores to get ready for the fantasy football drafts?
Yeah, we see it. Fantasy football is the popularity of it is ever increasing. You see a lot of hype around it, a lot of people supporting the teams, gears, star players like we talked about, where it's not necessarily a loyalty thing for a team, but supporting your favorite player, whether it be that Des Bryant or that Aaron Rodgers or Andrew Luck.
Now, when I go into your stores, I see a mannequin of Victor Cruz. If I really want to spice up my draft, can I buy that mannequin with the whole uniform?
That's not available for sale as of yet, but that's something we could take a look into.
Yeah, I think it would be. And just before you go, tell people about the really cool Modell's points card.
Oh, we have a great program. It's our MVP card. For every $1 you spend, you get a point. For every 400 points, you get a $20 gift certificate. So throughout the course of the year, you're constantly replacing your fan gear, whether you need sports equipment, sneakers, anything, backpacks back to school. You got to go to Moe's, and we're ready to go.
If you're a Jet fan and Geno Smith throws an interception, do you deduct a point?
That's a loaded question, Scott.
All right, John Borrelli, Regional Marketing Supervisor from Modell Sporting Goods. Good to have you, my friend. Where can people follow you guys on Twitter?
You can follow us at Modells. Scott, thank you for your time, and it's been fun.
All right, you're listening to the Fantasy Sports Network live here from Monmouth Park Racetrack in New Jersey. We'll have more fantasy football analysis coming up after this.